Welcome everyone to a Yin Yoga session. So if you have never done a Yin Yoga class before, you are in for a treat, right? It might be a little bit different than any yoga class that you've done before. So whereas in a normal yoga class, we might flow through many poses over the course of the class, Yin Yoga, we hold the poses. So we might only get to 8 to 10 poses, but we'll hold all of those poses for anywhere from 2 to 4 or even 5 minutes. So what you might need, a pillow or if you have it, a yoga bolster, or possibly even 2 pillows, right? So if you're feeling a little bit stiff, a little bit tighter, you might want a little bit more support. So having an extra pillow handy might be a good thing. Okay, the other thing that you might want is a blanket folded up and about as wide as your yoga mat. So I have mine all set up for just a little bit of support for my knees when we get to some of those poses. But otherwise, you don't need anything else. So when you are ready, join me on the mat. We will find a cross-legged position. And if cross-legged sitting right on the floor is not particularly comfortable, that is okay. You are not alone in that. So just prop yourself up on your pillow. Right, so just giving yourself that little bit of a lift in the hips makes for a much more comfortable seat. Okay, so we'll find that big, nice, tall spine. Bring your hands to your laps. Just allow your eyes to close. And take a big breath in. And let it go. Let's do that again. Big breath in through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth. This time, let's breath in through the nose, and then exhale through the nose as well. Let's do that again. Breath in through the nose, and out through the nose. One more time. And then just drop all control of the breath. And just start to notice any sounds going on around you. What do you hear? And go beyond my voice. And what else is happening? What are some of the subtle sounds around you? And then what do you feel? Right, maybe you feel the skin and the temperature of the air around you. Or maybe you feel the sensation of the clothes on your skin. Or maybe you feel subtle sensations in the body. And then even with your eyes closed, what do you see? What light patterns are coming through the eyelids? And then take a big breath in through your nose. What do you smell? Is there any subtle smells around you? And we don't have to label them as good or bad, right? We're just noticing. And then what do you taste? Maybe your toothpaste, maybe whatever you had last to eat. Coming back to our senses, really allows us to be present, to let go of things from the past or from the future, but just to be right here, right now. So if at any point during this practice you feel pulled away to somewhere or something else, come back to your senses. What do you feel? What do you hear? What can you see, smell, taste? Let's take a big breath in. Let it go. And maybe you blink the eyes open. From here, we're just going to take our spine in just a little bit of a stirring motion, right? So we'll bring our hands to our knees or our shins, and then we're just going to bring the rib cage out to the right. Draw the chest forward, ribs forward. Then the ribs slide to the left. And then a rounding of the spine, chin to chest. Just do that 2 more times in this direction, this big circular motion. And then switching directions. Just kind of waking everything up before we find our stillness. All right, slowly make your way all the way to our tabletop position, all fours. So you'll notice that my knees are supported on my blanket, and that is exactly what it's for. So use it when you so choose, but I suggest maybe for the knees. Okay, so we're in our tabletop position, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath of hips. We'll find our cat-cow. So inhale, let the belly drop and the head come up. And then exhale to round the spine, chin to chest. Let's do that 2 more times. Use your breath. And then just come back to neutral. Keep your big toe mounds together, but walk your knees out maybe about as wide as the mat. And then from here, we're just gonna send the hips back towards our heels. And then we're just gonna lift back up through center. Do that a few more times. Right, and generally in a yin class, we don't actually find movement so much. But I find that it helps me to sit in the poses, to be patient. It helps me open up better if I find just a little bit of awakening in the body first before we go into staying still in our poses. So let's just do one more. And come back through center. Bring the knees back underneath of the hips. And then from here, just grab your bolster or your pillow or whatever you've got for support and bring it to the top of the mat. Okay, so then from here we're just gonna lay down onto our belly so that our forehead can actually just come down onto the pillow or the bolster. Right, you don't want your mouth on it because you don't want to suffocate. So you just want your forehead gently resting on your support. And then we're going to bring the elbows onto the bolster as well. So the elbows come onto the bolster or pillow, the palms will come to touch, and then the forehead just nestles down onto pillow. Right, so if at first this doesn't feel particularly intense, that is okay. If, however, it feels almost too intense, you can certainly remove the pillow and the bolster and just bring forearms and forehead down to the mat. And our yin practice becomes a practice of patience and gentle opening. And since we will be in the poses for several minutes, you don't have to come right to your edge in any particular stretch. Right? Maybe we find the pose and we start at a place that feels perfectly right in the middle, right? It's not too much of a stretch. And then we allow time and gravity to help open the body a little bit further. Right? We don't have to force it. And if at some point you would like to increase the stretch, maybe you walk your elbows just a little bit further onto the bolster and then press down with your elbows and pull back. Right? So that alone can help increase the stretch a bit. And take one more big breath in. Let it go. And slowly, slowly, we'll pick the head up and we'll bring our elbows off of that bolster. From here, we're just going to kind of move that bolster or pillow a little bit further away. And then from here, we're going to go into our open wing. So we'll reach out with that left arm straight out from the left shoulder. Then from here, bend the right knee, so the right toes go up towards the ceiling, and use the right fingertips to press you into an opening, right? So you'll see if you can bring the right toes down to the floor on the other side of that left leg. And then your head can rest down either on that pillow or it can just rest down right on the mat, whatever works best for you. And then use your exhales to let go a little bit more. And as time and gravity allow, you can always press yourself a little bit deeper, open up a little bit more. And just as you ease into a pose, If at some point it feels like too much, you can always ease ever so slightly out of the pose. But otherwise, you're just breathing and seeing if you can let go even more. And let's take one more big breath in. And then breath out. We'll slowly roll back to the belly. Really take your time. And then bend that left elbow. Maybe find a little bit of movement if that feels good for that arm. And then we'll just switch right to that other side. So we'll reach the right arm out, bend the left knee, and then use the left fingertips to press yourself over into that twist. Big opening for that right shoulder as well as the pec. And then that left hand can always stay there to help support you. The head can come down to the ground or maybe to your pillow. And take a big breath in, breath out. Notice if you have just transferred tension to a different part of the body. Right, notice if you're clenching through your face, or maybe through your legs and hips. And see if you can use your exhales to relax those areas, to soften into the pose a little bit more. And maybe notice what is going on around you. Notice if there are any sounds. For me, I can hear the neighbor children out playing and cars going past. And it's easy to label those sounds as distractions, instead of just accepting that they are part of the present moment. So just notice any little sounds. And take one more big breath in. And then breath out, coming onto your belly. Once again, take your time. Draw that right arm in. And then from here, we're just gonna come all the way back up to our tabletop position. So you can plant the hands, come up to tabletop, however works best for you. And then we're gonna find our child's pose. So what I suggest for this child's pose is knees together, and then feet, the tops of the feet are flat on the ground. So from here, you can grab your pillows, your bolster, whatever you've got, and you can certainly go and rest your head on it. But if this feels like an awful lot for the knees or for the feet, then I suggest that you take your blanket and put that blanket for just a little bit of extra support in between your calves and your hamstrings, right? That just kind of decreases the angle, increases the angle that your knees are in extension here. And then from here, we're gonna sit up nice and tall, take a big breath in. And on your breath out, maybe start to fold down into that child's pose. Right, and if one pillow doesn't feel like enough, you can certainly grab more than one. Your arms can come down by your side, perhaps. And then just start to let go. And take a big breath in. And breath out, soften the hips, the lower back, the thighs. And then slowly rise all the way back up out of your child's pose. All right, so from here you can move that bolster off to the side. You can move your blanket off to the side. And then just make your way to a downward facing dog just for a moment. So send the hips up and back. You can bend the knees, pedal out the legs if that feels good. And then just make your way all the way to ragdoll. So step the feet up to meet the hands at the top of the mat. And then put a bend in the knees. Let your belly rest down on your thighs. Let the head drop, let the arms drop. And then just feel, right? Get heavy, let go. If you prefer to have hands on your pillow or bolster, you can certainly do that to find a little bit more support. And after a few breaths here, you can always take the legs a little bit straighter, right? They certainly don't have to go all the way straight. In fact, you should have a generous bend in the knees, but maybe you just take a little bit of the bend out, right? Finding a little bit more of a stretch for the hamstrings, for the back. And take a big breath in. Let it go. Then on your next inhale, come up to a flat back. Put a bend into the knees again, and then we'll just step the left foot to the back of the mat and bring the left knee down. So I'm gonna bring my blanket back out to put under that left knee. So left knee comes down. And then both of the hands are gonna come inside that right foot. So you might wanna heel toe the right foot out towards the edge of the mat a little bit. And then from here, I'm going to actually keep the left knee in. So sometimes in our lizard lunge, we take that left knee way back, right? And we find a really big stretch on the front of that left hip. That is okay. And if you'd like to find that, that's fine. But otherwise, I'm going to take us here to a 90-degree angle at the left knee, a 90-degree angle at the right knee. And then I've got my bolster inside that right leg. From here, I'm going to inhale, stick my tailbone back behind me, reach the heart forward, and exhale to fold down into whatever variation of lizard I would like to be, which could include staying up on fingertips, especially at the beginning. Then maybe you let the head drop. And just take your time to find depth in the pose. And here might be where we start to notice the difference between discomfort, right, intense stretching and that type of sensation, and and some sort of perhaps pain, right? So if you ever experience pain in a pose, then you come out of the pose or you back off at least a little bit. If, however, you're just experiencing a bit of discomfort, then you practice patience. You see if you can breathe in the pose. And then maybe you start to notice, use your senses to see what is going on around you, right? What is happening in the present moment. Become really aware. And if over time you can perhaps bring the elbows down to your pillow, go ahead and do so, but certainly not required. And slowly start to rise up. Then from here, we can kind of move off our pillow for just a moment. We're going to bring the hands forward, step that left foot up, come back to that rag doll just for a moment. Right, so you could maybe find a little bit of movement here. You could kind of pedal out the legs or sway a bit side to side. And then we'll just switch sides. So we'll inhale up to a flat back, step that right foot back, bring the right knee down, and then bring that pillow back, right, back to perhaps the inside of that left leg. Then stay up on fingertips. You could even heel toe that left foot out towards the edge of the mat a bit. And then inhale to lengthen through the spine. So extend the tailbone back, reach the heart forward, take a big breath in, breath out. Right, maybe stay nice and lifted. Maybe you drop the head. And then relax the jaw, relax the eyebrows. Right, we tend to transfer our attention elsewhere when we start to find big stretches, right? And hip openers tend to really do that for us, right? They tend to be big poses. So just notice how your body reacts, notice how your head reacts, notice if what happens is you start to wander away, right? You start to think about something else. Use your exhales to relax a little bit more. And instead of fidgeting in the pose, see if you can find stillness. See if even when there's discomfort, even when you would prefer to leave the pose, see if you can stay a little bit longer. And take a big breath in, clearing breath out. And then rise back up. This time, instead of ragdoll, we'll just bring that left knee back so we come to a tabletop position. And maybe sway the hips a little bit side to side. And then make your way to lying on your back. Bring your bolster over to the left side. And you can either lay on the blanket or you can move it off to the side, whatever works best for you. Okay, so we'll lay down on our back. Extend the left leg out long and draw that right knee in towards your chest. Just give it a big hug, take a big breath in, breath out, And then draw that right knee across the body. So you'll shift onto that left hip and see if you can bring that right knee down to your pillow or bolster. If it doesn't quite make it, maybe you grab the blanket and you put the blanket on top of that pillow and just kind of pile everything up until that right knee can come down. Reach the right arm out long, and if it feels okay, look over the right shoulder. And take a big breath in and let it go. Slowly roll onto your back and let that right leg extend out long on the mat. And just feel for a moment. And then we'll slowly move to the other side. So take your pillow or bolster over to your right side. And then draw your left knee into your chest. And then pull it across the body for our twist on this side. So that left knee will come down and find the pillow or the bolster. The left arm will reach out to the side. And if it feels okay, you'll look over the left shoulder. Feel your inhales expand your rib cage and your chest. And feel your exhales create a little bit more space, a little bit more opening. Slowly come back through center. Let that left leg extend out long on the mat. And once again, just feel. Feel the body settle into the mat. And then moving into your Shavasana. So you could just stay right here, legs extended out long, arms by your side. If you want to take a little bit more of a restorative Shavasana, you could take your pillows or bolster underneath of your knees. And then just take your feet a little bit wider than perhaps you normally would. And take a big breath in. Let it go. Take a big breath in. Let it go. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rock your head side to side. And then reach your arms up, find a big stretch, and roll on to your side. You can curl up into a little ball. And then when you're ready, press yourself up to a seat. Keep your eyes closed just a little bit longer. And bring your hands through heart center. Just tune into your senses one more time. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you see? What do you taste? And take a big breath in. Breath out. Bring your thumbs to third eye center. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.